Hi guys, this is Anya. I hope you're all doing well. I just wanted to share some thoughts that I've been pondering in the last few weeks. Um, this is based on, discussions that have been going on for years and years and years in the world and in the spiritual or tarot community. But also a little bit of a chat that I had with a viewer not too long ago where we discussed these things, and I thought it was pretty interesting to talk about these subjects. And first of all, I did want to make it clear, because my channel is kind of old and new. I know that many of you followed my channel years ago when I made videos quite regularly, and some of you may have just found me somehow through my Instagram or wherever, I'm not sure. And you may not know that much about me. So I thought it would be interesting to discuss spirituality and where I come from with my beliefs, because I think that we all choose our beliefs from a little bit of a different perspective. I know that for some people it's very important to have the analytical side, um, to be like on the forefront. Um, for some people it's very important that there is so-called proof of what they believe in. I see this in the community where some people say that, well, I'm an atheist, but I'm still a witch. Which to me is a little bit confusing, but whatever works for them. And I see people really wanting to be on the logical, analytical, scientific side of things. Personally, I find that to be a little bit difficult at times, because most of these things that come up in spirituality and religion, they cannot at this moment in time be proved by science. There is, people have tried time and time again to prove that there is a God, to prove that they have a piece of Noah's Ark, to prove that Jesus was a real person, to prove that crystals work, that healing, like energy healing, works physically, and all of those things. And from my perspective, that is not important at all. I don't need any proof for what I believe in. I see myself on the other side of the spectrum, where I'm not looking at the logical, analytical, scientific side of things. When it comes to spirituality, I am very much, ironically, I'm very affected by my astrological natal chart. It's very heavy of water, of Cancer, a little bit of earth, and then very little air and fire. So for me, when I think of what do I believe in, like, let's say, what do I believe in when it comes to the divine? That's, yeah, I choose to use that term. I quite enjoy that term, the divine. I like it a lot better than just God or the universe or source. So for me, when I think of like the divine, I don't need to explain that too well to other people, because it's so apparent and obvious inside of me what sort of beliefs I have that revolve around the divine. And they aren't based on any book I've read, any text I've read or anything that someone else has told me, really. It has been a lifelong search for what feels right to me. And I'm not just thinking of feels right as in when I think of polytheism. Um, it makes me happy and seems fun. It's more of a very inner feeling, knowing that yes, this is true to me. It's just like honesty and any big decisions we make in life. I think that we often end up feeling that this is the right thing when we are dating someone or someone proposes to us. We just have this feeling of yes, this is what I want to be with this person, I want to have a relationship with them, perhaps for all I know spend my whole life with them. It's a feeling. It doesn't come from, I mean, I'm sure it does for some people, but for me it doesn't come from a place of, well, yes, this person has really good finances and I do want to have a family, so I need a man. I need someone to clean the house with me because it's boring to do alone. So yes, I will agree to marrying this person. It's it's not about it thinking logically about what is best for you. There is a very strong feeling component to those decisions. And I kind of relate them to spirituality. Things that we cannot explain. And maybe sometimes we shouldn't even try, because I think most of us can relate to the human word, spoken or written, really cannot convey spiritual beliefs. It's just a really, really hard thing, because spiritual beliefs are often so personal, unique, and honestly like a little bit mysterious, that it's really hard to put them into words. I believe there is an example from Judaism where Jews believe that correct me if I'm wrong, that I haven't studied religion in a very long time, but I did at one point, 16 years ago. But I do believe that Jews have this belief that we cannot say God's name in the correct way because we are only human. And we also shouldn't say or write God's name because it's so sacred. That's the word I was looking for. I think that our spiritual beliefs are, or should be, so sacred to us that it's not really possible to put them into words. And I just wanted to bring that to my channel to make it clear that that is where I come from. I don't really put myself in a category. I don't put a label on myself. Am I a witch? Sure, I can be a witch. Am I pagan? I don't know, maybe. I think that all of those labels and categories, they can explain a part of me, but they are also lacking a part of me. So they don't really do it justice. So yeah, I did just want to explain that that is where I come from with my spirituality, that it's very feeling based. It's very feeling into myself, having an inner knowing. And that inner knowing and feeling has nothing to do with what someone else tells me. And that is the reason why I really dislike the discussions and debates that we had a couple of years ago, where people would be saying things like, oh, if you are blonde with blue eyes, you cannot possibly um, have any sort of connection with, let's say, Egyptian goddesses. The gatekeeping was just extreme a couple of years ago. If you were in the community back then, you will know what I'm talking about. It was extreme. Because I feel like we're not spiritual for someone else. It doesn't matter if a couple of people think that you're doing it wrong. You're wrong because considering your ethnicity, you're not allowed to believe in this and that and this and that. All of that, I just want to say that it's. I disagree with that so strongly. I truly feel like your own beliefs, your own spirituality needs to be your own. You're only answering to yourself. That is my opinion. It doesn't matter what someone says online or what a friend says. If they say your belief doesn't make sense, you're not allowed to believe that way, you're wrong, and all of those things, it really shouldn't matter. That is where I come from. These days, I just honestly don't care if someone would tell me, oh, you can't use this deck because you're not African, or you can't use this crystal because you're not from Australia, or whatever it may be. I'm just done with that. And yeah, I did feel like that belongs on my channel to just say that I'm true to myself. I'm true to my gods, goddesses, my spirit team, whatever you want to call it. And that's enough for me. And with that said, I love discussing these subjects. So don't feel like, you can't question what I say. I'm very open to that. I think it's so much fun. Hence me having this channel, hence me having open comments, right? But I wanted to move on because, as you can see, we have the Emperor and the Empress in front of us. This is from the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, a favorite deck of mine during autumn. And I have them in front of me because I did get a couple of questions about how I view feminine and masculine energy. I think it was the last video I made where I mentioned that I really enjoyed the Isis Oracle because of how it empowers me in a feminine way. Sorry, I haven't talked to anyone today, so my voice is like not used to talking. But yes, I did mention that, and I was actually thinking as I said it in that video, someone's probably gonna say something about this, and it's okay. It really is. I think that it's fun. Again, it's fun when we discuss these things. But I did want to say one thing. Yes, it is part of my belief that there is a sacred feminine and a sacred masculine energy. And it's not just one energy. Like, that feels too small to try to explain it. And again, these beliefs aren't explainable, really, but I'm gonna try. That is my belief. There are gods, there are goddesses. Sacred masculine, sacred feminine. And we all have masculine and feminine energy within us because we come from the masculine and the feminine. We all have one father, one mother. And on a soul perspective, we all have masculine and feminine energies in our soul. Again, my beliefs. And often this discussion comes up. Why are people in this community, witches, tarot readers, why are they often so drawn to the sacred feminine? Why does it seem like their practice, or our practice, is so very almost imbalanced because we constantly work with and talk about the sacred feminine? And I have a simple explanation for this. We all live in patriarchal societies, dare I say, because most of the world, a huge chunk of the world, is patriarchal. We've all grown up in that society. We're all living in it right now, and we will most likely die in a patriarchal society in 10, 20, 50, whatever years. So as women, or if you identify as a woman, we live in a society where we are, I don't know if I want to say constantly, but daily, we are affected by living in a patriarchy. We are affected by toxic masculinity, which is what the patriarchy is. So let's say that we are just having a regular day, we go to work, and we might have a coworker that obviously doesn't want to listen to us because he only listens to men. We might go out with a friend to have a glass of wine, and on our way home, somebody is like catcalling us or just being disrespectful, in that sort of way. And we come home, and what do we want to do? Do we want to connect with masculine energy, or do we want to connect with feminine energy? I think that most of us feel like to gain back our balance, our inner balance, we want to connect with the sacred feminine, because all day long we have been dealing with toxic masculinity. And could you say that, but maybe you could connect with the sacred masculine and connect with non-toxic, with very healthy and fantastic masculinity? Yes, sure. But again, it is still a masculine energy. And when we have dealt with masculine energy all day, I think there's just a little bit of an easier way in to go to the sacred feminine. So that is why I think that there is seemingly an imbalance between masculine and feminine energy in the community. But when we actually dig into it and look at it on a deeper level, we will see that the imbalance is caused by already being very imbalanced. So I think that is what many of us are doing, and I see that in myself, that I'm wanting to connect with the sacred feminine more than the sacred masculine, because I feel empowered connecting with the part of femininity that where I can have a strong knowing that I'm not alone. This is something that every woman struggles with in this world, and something that the goddesses, if we read the myths, the folklore, they have also struggled with this. It's just like, I was thinking of this comparison just a few nights ago. When we are children or teenagers and we get our first menstruation, I dare say that most of us will go to our mother and say, hey, this just happened. What do I do? Instead of going to our father and asking, because, and this is also if we have a fantastic relationship with our father and he is a fantastic man, we are probably still going to go to our mother because we know that she has been there. She knows how it is, and perhaps she has an answer, something that will make us feel more easy about this thing that for some of us was a little bit shocking. So yeah, I think that's just my explanation to why many of us are drawn towards the sacred feminine as women, and why we have a need to dive into it more. And with that said, I have also connected with the sacred masculine in in so many ways, in so many ways that have really helped me on my spiritual path and in my life, helped me with balance. Um, and I also want to say that when I'm talking about these things, I don't mean stereotypical things. I don't mean that the sacred feminine is about feeling pretty in a skirt and high heels, or that the sacred masculine is about um, being a leader. To me, those stereotypes are very ugly and wrong. I think that when we talk about spiritual energy, in my opinion, it's not that simple. We need to go deeper and we need to, again, feel that energy to understand what it is about. Um, it is definitely not as simple as people sometimes think that, oh, all boys love cars and all girls love lipstick. It's absolutely not like that. I think that we really need to sometimes differentiate between the spiritual energies and the human energies because they are very, very different. We also need to understand that all things have a darkness and a light to them. The feminine side also has a toxic part. Just like I spoke of the toxic masculinity we can see when we are harassed at work or whatever. There is toxic femininity also. It's not always talked about as much, but if we really listen up, we will notice that people do talk about it. Something like gossiping, that is a part of the human toxic femininity. So there are always two sides to everything. So I think that we need to be aware of that balance because sometimes it may seem like we are in a community where people love to talk about toxic masculinity, but they forget all about toxic femininity. And again, I do think that there is an explanation to that because it really depends on how we live our life and what we meet more often. If we meet toxic masculinity all the time, then we are more prone to talking about it or thinking about it or trying to deal with it. I think this is all I wanted to share with you today. It is a huge subject, but I don't want to like talk and talk and talk until I'm exhausted and you're exhausted from listening. So perhaps I will come back to this subject. But I did want to share my own thoughts and feelings on it because it has been a little bit on my mind and I felt like it belongs on the channel to share a little bit about this. So, I hope you're having a great day and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.